so much. Not most of the time I don't. But every now and then I kind of got the urge. Plus, I've had this quest in Limsa Lominsa for so long. It's going on. I've been playing the game since AAR launched. I played a little bit of 1.0, but even in like ever since AAR, I've had that there, and I think this is the one that popped up in Heaven's Word. I can't remember, but I can't let that quest go. I've had it for so long, and it'd be easy to just buy them, but I don't want to. I want to have the achievement of being like, no, I actually caught those sons of bitches. So hopefully over the next like 2 or 3 days, I'll be able to do that stuff, because I don't know if I'll have time during my main week, because it's one of those things you have to wait for certain weather effects and certain days, and weather has to change into certain weather, so you're screwed. Like, you gotta wait for fog to turn into heat wave in southern Thanalan. Like, what the hell? Why would they do that? But it's only one quest, so it's not too big of a deal. But it is definitely something that I want to finish. So typically, sometimes when I'm working on, like, especially 14 stuff, the artwork is so detailed. Sometimes I'll do a quick draw over before I do my own drawing, just to get a feel for it, because there's so much detail. Sometimes my mind gets kind of lost, and I just want to figure out, like, okay, what's here? What can I simplify? And I won't really use this. I mean, I'll use a little bit of it, but just to get a basis. Just like the same way, like, concept artists will do composite sketches, where they take, like, different pieces of buildings and, like, real-life photographs, and draw over them. It's kind of the same process. I don't do this when I'm doing, like, my own original art, but if it's something I'm trying to, like, get exact, especially when it's, like, armor from a certain game or something like that, this is just one of the artistic processes I'll usually have to go through. And even some of this I'll simplify a little bit. 14, I love how detailed it is, but oh god. Most of the time, Blue Lip, when it comes to fishing quests, yes, I do just kind of ignore them. In Legend of Zelda, I never really do them. I'm always at least one heart container off because of it, but I'm like, alright, whatever, fine. There's usually something else, like in Breath of the Wild. There's one dungeon that I literally could not complete. It's the one that has motion controls. I'm just like, okay, cool, I guess I'll never do this one. I tried for at least like 4 hours to finish that. Where did all my setup go? Window, workspace, essentials, there we go. That's what I want. Guess I hit a button or something. Alright. And then once I kind of do this like sketch over phase, if I was animating this, there would be no way I would do this much detail. It would just be too much. I would have to super simplify a lot of this stuff. But for this, for like a one-time illustration, not so bad. A lot of work, but it ends up usually looking really cool. And something I wish I was better at, and something I'm trying to get better at, is always detail. Yeah, but fishing quests are weird. Like, there's something that I love that they're in video games, but half the time I usually skip them. But in 14, I've done most of the content, and since I don't do in-game stuff anymore, I kind of go like, all right, what have I not done in a long time? Or what have I not focused on? And I do like the gathering quest, and I kind of like the idea of fishing, but not finishing the whole fishing log. Though the completionist in me kind of wants to. But I don't have the time. Nor should I commit the time to it. Oh, you're getting dragged back into Bernician Arsenal? Girlfriend is trying to run the pack with old people to actually get clear for once. Good luck with that, Valentara. I actually saw a friend of mine was doing Baldician Arsenal 2 the other day. I don't have the temperament or really the time for it, but man, I kind of wish I did. If I had a couple more weeks off of work, but you know, I also have to get paid eventually, so can't really do that. Maybe someday I'll have a job where I don't have to go into an office or go into a school and, you know, be able to do things like this all the time, all day long. That'd be pretty rad. But for now, teaching's still good. I still like working with the kiddos. Probably always will. Probably always still want to teach, actually. It's like fishing in real life. Yeah, but the thing about fishing in real life, you have to go somewhere. You have to be outside. And no one wants to do that. We perfected indoors. That's the whole point of the indoors. Alright. Zale had to pick the craziest one. I'm going to cut out some of the spikes. It doesn't need all that detail. It's something I was talking with my buddy one time, not too long ago too, on Twitter, where just sometimes as illustrators we feel like we overdo stuff. Like, as much as I like this weapon, I feel like there's so much going on that it would be more cohesive if they took out some of the detail. If some of the details were kind of laid to rest. As a designer, as illustrators, I think sometimes we can get too detail-y. You know, ornamentation and stuff like that is a lot of fun, but hey, I think sometimes it hurts the design as a whole. Sometimes it becomes too messy because it's too hard for the eye to read. It's like having an 8K television. Yeah, that's great, but your eye can only perceive so much. So what's really the point of it? And your eye can get so lost in this kind of mess of design that sometimes I feel like it's too much. Like, I prefer what I'm drawing right here. I think it's still going to be close to what Azael, my buddy, likes about the relic weapon, but just take out some of that stuff. I'm pretty sure they do have some 8K TVs, or it's like in the works or something like that. I could be wrong. Who knows? I'm wrong about things every now and then. You know, like, is this DLC? I don't know. Could be. Could the 8K TVs be DLC? One must wonder. Alright. But yeah, for those of you that have come in, yeah, Chris was going to do Breath of the Wild, but he's feeling a little bit under the weather, so I said, hey, man, I'll take over. I'll do some more art stream. I kind of want to get back to this anyways. I know that I said I was going to potentially do one on Wednesday, but I was neck deep in big fishing, and I was also doing stuff for my comic, which I did all the inks for. That's all done. I'm just debating whether I need to do color, and I'm just working on the script for it, like just doing some refinements for that. I'll probably post it up later on my like Insta or something like that in a week or so. Maybe not this week, maybe next week, maybe Sunday, I don't know. So Bennett Foddy is saying, yeah, there's 8K TVs now. They're really rare and expensive. Yeah, that's what I've heard. One of the first available in North America is the Samsung Q900. I remember hearing that. Yeah, $5,000. I think I was watching like a Linus Tech Tips where it was going over that exact model. He should be. He said, what was it? Jen's like, oh, Jen's feeling under the weather. I'm like, oh, great. I know where this is going. This happens every time. He's like, nah, it'll be gone. Like, the sickness, it'll be purged. Don't worry about it. All of it will be over and gone with. I'm not sick yet, and it's been a couple of days. That stuff's dead. Here he is now, next 2 days, sick. I don't know if, like, part of it was from, like, the partying on Wednesday, but I feel like it's probably going to encroach on me next. I'll probably be the next one in the line of it, of getting sick, which is frustrating because I know I have to start going back to work on Monday, so that'll be fun if I get sick. Hopefully not. Hopefully it stays within them, but throughout my life, you know, you grow up in a household when one person gets sick, everyone else gets sick. It's not something you can almost prevent. Like, you can sequester people in other rooms, you can try your best, but pretty much everyone gets sick. Everyone in the house typically gets sick in my experience. Whenever I got sick, all my brothers typically got sick. Very few cases where there happened where it's like, oh no, you were spared the infestation. It's like, no, usually like everyone else gets sick because that's just how it works. It just sucks. It just sucks. But what doesn't suck is working on this. I do think I need to do a little bit of perspective. I like how big that axe is. I wonder if I need to make... I think I need to make the thing that holds it a little bit smaller to really overemphasize, like, damn, that axe is meaty. I want it to feel like a huge axe. Also, hey Pat, welcome to the stream. I see what you did there, Sir Charbit. Charbit? What did I do? Wait, Charbit. Oh, also, thank you for anyone that has donated so far with all the bits. That's freaking awesome. How's everyone going here? I'm doing fine, Scarecrow. Funny, I just get a text from my other buddy who's just like, he's not texting me about seeing Star Wars. I'll have to text him back later. Let's see. I still haven't seen Star Wars. I plan on it only because my younger brother said I have to see it because he wants to rant about it. So that's definitely something I gotta go do. Let me think. I think I need to readjust this head. Where is that? Okay. Can I grab this? I want to sequester that. I'm going to pull you out. I feel like I need to bring your head up just a little bit. Not smaller, just bring it over a little bit. Like, you guys have that whole hunchy look. Sorry if I'm ignoring chat for a second. Just trying to focus in on this little spot right here and get that going. I think, yeah, that's better. You gonna see Star Wars in a few hours? That's awesome, Mod. Scarecrow. Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly not hyped for it at all, but with my younger brother telling me to go see it, it's just like, all right, he really wants me to go see it. He really wants to talk about it. All right, fine. I'll go and do it. And plus, it'll probably lead to good content on, you know, when we record later. You can see cats this weekend. No reason. You just want to suffer. That's on you, Darkstar. I don't want to see that cockroach scene. Mousetrap ruined me when it came to that stuff. I wonder if I need to make this bigger. Sometimes, like, when I'm working on illustrations too, a lot of this next phase is just kind of like slowly tweaking parts, slowly seeing if I can, like, do I want to push this back in perspective? Is this looking right? I'm not one of those illustrators that can kind of just hit it right off the bat. That's just not my way of things. I have to do constant iteration, and just really try and maximize what I can in terms of poses. Oh, let's see. Horizontal. Let's see. I'm gonna turn down the audio capture a little bit, because I feel like it's still a little too loud. But maybe that's just me. Yeah, the cockroach scene, I saw that on Twitter. Mouse Hunt or Mouse Trap, that already made me gross up to eat hamburgers for like a full year. I don't need to see that movie. I don't need to see a crazy dream-infueled, fever-induced nightmare. I have enough of those. Alright. Okay. Where... I need this and I need that now. I need to pull this up. This is probably the hardest part of doing 14 illustrations. Like, just getting that armor. Just finding a way to make it in my style. This one's not too bad. But, yeah. It's still definitely a challenge. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, the thing with the skin and another skin with a dress, it's very disturbing. People that enjoy that, good for them. That is not the kind of cinema that I want to watch. I actually just watched Gangs of New York. It's one of those movies that people have talked about for a long time. I was like, oh, I'll check this out. That's Scorsese's best film. Not that good. Kind of bad. Scorsese made all this shade at the Marvel movies, but at least the Marvel movies can choreography a fight scene well. The fight scenes in that movie, Gangs of New York, it's terrible. It's bad. It's not good. The shots aren't interesting. The tracking's bad. Following the movement's not good. Oof. Daniel Day-Lewis's performance, though, is pretty good. Yeah. His performance is good, but other than that, like that's kind of like the only redeeming factor. DiCaprio's okay. Cameron Diaz is all right, but for the most part, it's not that good. No, that movie was 2002. But yeah, maybe Scorsese is. But I heard The Irishman's really good. But yeah, Gangs of New York was 2002, so it was a long time ago. Which is sad to say. I was in... How old was I? That was like the year me and Chris met. It was like 2002. 2002, I was a sophomore, freshman, somewhere around there. Freshman or sophomore. Your character Sam or another persona? Another person's. Oh, my... What character? What are you talking about on Scarecrow? Oh, this is another person's character. This isn't my character. This is a friend of mine's. He commissioned me. I've drawn my character once or twice, but no, this is not mine. Alright. The Garlands are pretty much set. Once I figure out how I want to illustrate this, it shouldn't be too bad. Then I can start kind of going over it. I'll get to like I'll probably start the inking phase with this. Like with the Garlands in the back, I can kind of just straight out ink it and just kind of look at a reference image and figure it out from there. But since Azale, since this Mikote warrior is kind of like the big bad, the big cool dude of the illustration, I gotta make sure he looks the most detailed, has the most presence going on. All the others are kind of, I can simplify it a little bit. The one film that came out this year that I really liked was Promare. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to check that out. You want to leave, if Blue's here, I think Blue Lip's here. If Blue Lip can, like, link that, or, you know, maybe you can, Darkstar. I don't know how linking works in Twitch chat. I still haven't had a chance to ask Chris. He's been recovering, and he was pretty much out all of yesterday. Now he's working on some stuff before he has to record later tonight with Mike. Let's see. Let's fix that, and fix that. Yeah, if you can link that. Oh, Studio Trigger. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I have heard of that. I need to see that one. I like Studio Trigger's work. I couldn't really follow, what was it? Not Gurren Lagann. What was it? It's the suit with the girl and the clothes and the nudity, but not nudity, but scantily clad. God, what's that show called? Help me! I can't remember. It's gonna. I just saw it was like one on. They had a game that came out this year too, based on it. I could draw her. It's just like she's got like the red strand of hair, and you know, she's all angry. She's got the bow or something like that in the skirt. Kill a Kill, thank you. That's what it is. I'm like, what is that? What is that show? I tried to watch that show with subtitles. It's way too fast. It was way too fast, and I was not there like fully in mind and spirit. So trying to follow that show is like, I need to wait till there's a dub. I need there to be a dub so I can kind of slightly be allowed to pay a little less attention to it. Because at the time on Netflix, there was only the one version of it. And I typically like watching dubs. I'll watch subs if the dub is really bad, but if the dub is good or decent, I'll watch it. Examples of good dubs: Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Dragon Ball Z. Case of bad dubs: Naruto. Trying to think what else. There's been some bad ones too, but typically I'll watch stuff in dubs. Is there a dub on Netflix? I'll have to go back and check it out then. I just finished watching Lincoln today. That's really good. That's a Daniel Day-Lewis film by Spielberg, and I don't know. I think Scorsese's kind of like J.J. Abrams for me, which is maybe blasphemous to say, but he's kind of hit or miss for me. Sometimes he's really good, sometimes he's really bad. Like, I enjoyed The Departed. I didn't like Raging Bull that much. People rave about it. I did not care for it. I get that the main character is supposed to be unlikable, but I feel like there should be something about the character that I like. There should be something I at least admire or want to know more about this character. Like, I think it's Frank Lyotta or Jake Lyotta. He's just a miserable pile of ass baggage. Like, he's just not a good person in any way and has no redeeming factors. And just watching the movie, I'm like, wow. The fight scenes aren't that great. The character's just not that interesting. I could not stay with it. Oh, who's checking out? Oh, see you later, Scarecrow. Have fun in Star Wars, buddy. I need to get another view of that shoulder pad. Dang. Alright, well. Do I have any other images? Let's see. That'll work. He dyed it black. Alright, let's pull you in. And then we are going to minimize you. Okay. I do like this Alexander armor, though. It's really cool. Alright, what? That's my red frame. This is my blue frame. Okay. Let's go ahead and draw this. Part of this original phase 2 is nothing's supposed to be super set in stone, and then I just have to kind of take... I don't know. I just have to take, like, my artistic gumption, I guess, and just kind of figure it out from there. Kind of tweak things, because I know some things are just... they're not gonna work. I'm doing really good on my diet, so I can't break it. I'm getting really close to the physique I want. Maybe about 4 more months of training and I'll be there. Oh god. 4 more months. Ooh, Risk of Rain 2. I've heard good things about that. That's been another thing we've been considering playing at some point as well. It's not yet on the list. Bought a bunch of cool games on the Steam sale though as well, so hopefully that'll be fun stuff for you guys to watch later. I think I mentioned that last time too. Oh, thanks, Pat. Yeah, I know I can do it. I've been keeping up with it since September, so it's like, I know I can do it. It's just... it's just another 4 months. I'm like, oh man, I thought this was only going to take 4 months. And I'm like, alright, well, I'm halfway there. 4 months more. But it's fun. I can actually do a push-up now, which is crazy. Which I'm trying to get better at. I saw some of the websites like, oh, do like 100 push-ups a day. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm slowly building up to that kind of level first. Starting off with like 20 a day each week. And then hopefully I'll build up. Because I was doing burpees for a little bit, but I felt like it was going to injure myself doing that. Because it felt like my back would always bend in the wrong way. I'm like, okay, I can do this. But there's also a really good chance I'm going to hurt myself. I don't think the benefits outweigh the cost of what might happen. Because if I hurt myself, which I've done before, always minor injuries, never major. I know how that throws me off, and the last thing I want to do is be thrown off for a long time. Yeah, 100% Pat. That's why I kind of just stopped doing it. I was just like, oh man. I like the feeling that it gave me in terms of like working out, but every time I did, I was like, you know what? It just feels like it's only a matter of time before I do this wrong, and I do this dumbly, and I hurt myself. Yeah. One thing I wish I had more time for, and more money for too, is bouldering. That'd be a lot of fun. I do that occasionally with my younger brother, and that's a ton of fun. Whenever he comes into town, we always make a habit of doing that. Bouldering's so much fun. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but over this last year, I've definitely got accustomed to it. Getting used to V1s, I can almost do V2s. Which, it doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, the difference between like a V0 to like a V1 to a V2 is crazy. That stuff's intense. Alright, so I'm trying to think. That would be the top of the arm. So yeah, you would see a little bit of that design. Are you wearing different arm bands, Azael? You mother flubber. You mother of monkeys. Well, I guess mother of cats. Be more like it. You're wearing a simpler armor. Alright, alright. It looks like you're wearing like the Maiden arms. And there's a gnat. Well, there's a dead gnat now. How'd it get in my room? My window's shut. Well, it's dead now. Got flicked off my computer screen. Please let it not fallen into my drink. Nope, it did not. There we go. But now my fingers feel gross. Yeah. Bah. How dare you? How dare you, Nat, come into my workspace among my mangoes and my coffee and my chaser, which is just water with like Neo in it. Okay. Let's see. He's got simpler arms, which that's nice. But part of me wants to do the more complex design, but that's not what the client calls for. So I guess that's the Midas arms. Or is it the warrior armlets? Valentara, do you think that those are the warrior armlets, right? Like, that's kind of what they look like. They look like the warrior artifact gear. It's either that or... Because it's not the Allegan one. Right? AF1? That's what I'm thinking. Would be easier than what would be. You could check his lodestone. No. See, well... Would he have it? I don't know if Azale has this on. That's the problem. Like, I could look up his lodestone. But... whether he has it is... I don't even remember his character's last name. I should. Been playing with him for years. Does that nerd have it on? Well, you're the smart one, Valentar. You're right. He is wearing the replica High Allegan gauntlets offending, dyed black. That's what I thought. I was like, those look familiar. But he changed his armor to the Midas armor. What a nerd. Okay. So I need to find some High Allegan gauntlets offending. There we go. Let's look that up. There we go. That's the stuff. That's the stuff I needed. I couldn't tell. I was like, maybe it's the warrior gauntlets, but nope, it was not. Can I pull you in? No, I can't. Okay. Where is this? Where is that? That? No. Yes. That's what I want. Damn it. This is almost harder in some ways. That's okay. Alright. Let's see. I do love the High Allegan set, though. High Allegan set's pretty rad. It's one of the best sets. Like, they made that set after the first Coil of Bahamut, and the first Coil of Bahamut had some cool gear that you get from the first raid of Final Fantasy XIV. But they really, I feel like, hit a peak when they did the second set. Like, Dreadworm gear is okay from the third tier of Bahamut's Coil, but ooh, second tier's got that sweet spot. All right. Cool thing is it gives me some ideas in terms of like, give them like claws almost. I'm gonna simplify some of this. Let's see. Like that, and like that. I'm just gonna give it one kind of finger gauntlet. And do that. And kind of like, some of it's gonna get changed. Some of it I kind of just make up on my own, you know? I'll draw a little bit of it, but then I'll be like, you know what, whatever, it's my illustration. I'm gonna change it, because why not? That's what it's all about. Making it my own artistic interpretation, and plus it'll look close enough to the High Allegan gear that no one's gonna care. No one will be like, oh no, it's not perfect, it doesn't look exactly. It's like, yeah, whatever. He especially won't. He'll be stoked with this when he finally sees it. Should be cool. Get that kind of shape going in there. Get those in there. I actually just bought Final Fantasy XII on sale for the Switch. My brother had given me like 15 bucks, and I already had like 10 bucks to store credit. It doesn't look great on the portable mode. But it's also Final Fantasy XII and portable, so, you know. Yeah, butt wings galore, Valentara. There are so many butt wings in that. Alright, let's see. Go ahead and just need to get some of that other armor. This arm feels a little high up there. I think I need to take this and go ahead and grab it. And maybe just throw that on there. Yeah, that should work. And then grab this. And take that. Oh, no, not like that. Take that. And a little bit over. Oop. Take this. And then just go over here. Make that a little bit more. Biggest thing too is going to be just the color. People are going to look at the color, and that's usually something that kind of just easily makes it readable for most people. I'm trying to remember if there that is. That'll be the part that gets like the most attention. And the main character is definitely going to be the hardest one to ink for sure. Yeah, some people really love the buttwing armor of the Dreadworm stuff, but I don't know. No, I like the monk gear at the time. Monk gear was pretty cool. Ninja gear was pretty lit. I rocked that for a while. Ranger had a cool coat. Not Ranger, I'm sorry. Bard and Machinist have a pretty cool coat. Ooh, these pads. These pados. Alright. Let's get this in there. Oh, you wrap that away. Okay. That means I should Okay. I gotta think about that. So that's where that ends. Interesting design choice to break it up like that. Wonder why they thought about doing it that way. Alright, I want to do a little bit of that, a little bit of there. And this is where I'm really going to just start stylizing it up a little bit and start getting rid of some things that I don't feel like are necessary. Let's see. Valentara. It's not surprising how chaotic it looks with all the colors. Yeah, it does look very chaotic. That's why it's kind of crazy. But I mean, it's also just one thing that comes with game design now. You really have to up the detail. Because some people really want that fidelity when it comes to armor and stuff like that. I don't mind personally when it's a bit more stylistic and a little bit simpler, but some people, and you know, there's always that wow factor. It's why Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite didn't do very well. Gameplay was tight, gameplay was solid, didn't matter though. The game looked like ES garbage, so nobody really wanted to play it. And I spent $100 on it like a crazy person. I don't regret it because that game was that was fun as hell. But it just sucked that the online community just died really fast and it just did not take off because that game was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to play. I'm with Maximilian dude in that category of just like, damn, I really enjoyed playing this game. I really wanted it to be the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 like again, but didn't take. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and move that over. I'm gonna go ahead and change the music up a little bit. Let's put you on. Yeah, that's a bit better. Alright. A little bit more chill, a little bit of lo-fi, a little bit of stuff to kind of change it up. And like, you know, like before, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them at me. More than happy to answer them. Because I will keep blathering on about probably something. I don't know what yet. Oh, that other side's got a weird Funkalicious thing going on. Alright. Okay, it's kind of got like a... kind of goes back and hoops. Hoops the hoop-de-loop. How did I get into 14? So, that all strikes back to Final Fantasy XI, honestly. Way back, we were at a Fry's, and my younger brother was like, ooh, Final Fantasy XI, this looks cool. I didn't really know about MMOs at the time. I'd never really played them. I kind of heard of WoW probably at that time, but it was not something that was super on my radar in terms of stuff to do. But this was back in 2001, and he ended up, my younger brother, I think he got all of us to chip in our money for it. Like, I paid a little bit, so you know what, I liked Final Fantasy. I'd played 7, I liked 10 a lot. I was excited for 12. I played 4 and Chrono Trigger at that time as well. And I loved those games also. So I was like, yeah, sure, like art style looks cool. I don't know what an MMO is, but sure. And for some reason, my parents paid for the subscription. And that kind of just led to playing it all over the summer. And then when I got back after, it was the summer of my freshman year of high school. Then I, you know, got back to high school, and the first thing me and Chris said was like, hey man, I've been playing this really rad ass game over the summer. You gotta check it out. And I was like, wait, I've been playing a rad ass game too. He's like, wait, what have you been playing? I was like, oh, Final Fantasy XI. He's like, what? What server are you on? Unicorn. I was just like, no way, me too. And the funny thing about that is, you didn't get to choose what server you went on. It was a random assortment of like what you got put and pulled to. So the fact that we were both on the Unicorn server way back in the day was a crazy chance. But so we played that for years, and because of that game, I met a bunch of friends, and then those friends eventually said like, you know, we eventually all kind of fell off 11, and you know, after like five years of playing, and I was in my like second year of college, and I was like, oh man, I really got to focus down on art. Like I had been, and I've been putting less and less time into the game, but I just quit the game outright 11 just because I knew I had to really buckle down and focus on art. Now go strike back to about, I quit like 2008 Final Fantasy 11, go to like 2013, about 5 years later. My friend, who was one of the people in our original Link Shell, which was like a free company, which is like just a group of, you know, members, was like, hey, we're all gonna make a new one on the new Final Fantasy XIV, because the first one hadn't like done very well in 2011, but everyone was kind of excited, and we almost tried to do it. But then when A Realm Reborn came, I was like, okay, everyone's gonna give it a chance. So the whole gang kind of got back together again, minus like 1 or 2 people. And then after that, I've been playing ever since. Made a lot of good friends, a lot of good connections, a lot of lifelong friends. I'm a big believer in like you can make friends over the internet, and that was something that was always kind of crazy for people to believe. And now not so much. Now it's kind of common. Like it's really not. I don't want to say taboo, but it's not the weird, far-fetched thing that, you know, people think it is anymore. Like some of the best conversations I've had has been because of Final Fantasy XI, and I feel like a lot of how I've grown and matured as a person is because when I led a raid group and before I started teaching, like that taught me a lot of just different life lessons on how to manage people, how to be emotionally available to teammates, how to be brutally honest without being rude, and just how to be a better person, and really just learn to have like that commanding voice that I would need like when you're kind of leading a group of being like, no, you got to be here for this time because there's all of us who are waiting on it. So like in college, it kind of forced me to come even more out of my shell. Yeah, the 14 community is great. Yeah, 90% of my current friend group I met on it. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing people would do in real life, where like you would meet up and like, oh, we all met up at like a rock climbing event and all your friends are rock climbers. It's no different than that, honestly. It's just in a virtual space instead of a physical space. People tend to hang out with people who have similar interests. It's weird, but that's kind of like how things work. Yeah, so like I'm a big believer in like the power of, you know, social interaction over the internet and stuff like that, and I don't think you have to meet in order to be friends. I think it's cool if you can meet up. If you have the opportunity, like, hell yeah, go up, meet up, do other things other than playing the video game. That's great. I've done that with a couple of people I've met at 14. Played with 14 for years, and that's been fun to kind of be like, ah, hey, yeah, we met up in real life. All right, cool, let's go back to playing video games. But every time has been super chill, and it's kind of just reaffirmed those friendships. Sit silent in all the chat rooms. Hey man, it takes a while. It takes a while to kind of get up to that. I'm trying to remember. I didn't want to do Mumble at first for the longest time, which was our original way before Discord was a thing, in order to voice chat. That took a while for me to get used to. There was a bet between my friends that had known me from 11, and one was like, oh, I bet Sam's voice is terrible. And then I got like, oh, it's so calm and nice. Fuck you, man. Like, what's your problem? So that was funny. I never really thought of my voice too much until like I kind of got on to doing Mumble and stuff all the time, and then, you know, obviously more so now, having this whole crazy channel experience. But yeah, that was one of the, like, I feel like having the vocal one has made it a lot easier to kind of get used to that, more so than just like chatting, because pretty much now whenever I chat with people on 14, I'm in the Discord server. I sound grating. Thanks, Valentara. I bet your voice isn't that bad. It's probably more self-conscious than anything. Alright, let's see. What kind of boots is he wearing? I'm gonna make him up. I'm gonna kind of just go with this. It's just gonna simplify it and give him like the little booties. I'm pretty sure he's just wearing, it looks like to me, he's just wearing the Allegan ones, which just get that nice silhouette shape. And I'm not gonna worry too much about all the excess details. I do think this foot is too small now that I've pushed in the perspective, though. I think I need to make it a little bigger. That should be good. You had about 7 voices a year, so I didn't hear what you said. No worries, man. Yeah. Let's see. Alright. Oh, I pulled down my reference photo. Bring that back up again. I got that on the side screen, just so you guys can see more of the art that's going on. Since it really is just this one foot. Let's go ahead and... Where's that picture? Not there, not there. Oh, where are you? Here it is. It's hidden. How dare you hide from me? I gotta illustrate stuff. I need you to be visible. But yeah, probably after I finish the stream, I'll go back to big fishing again and Dark Knight stuff. Like, I finished a majority of the comic. It just needs color. That'll be pretty cool once it's done. Pretty happy with it. I do have to move this over a little bit, though, because I cannot see the chat very well when it's like that. Let's see. Bring that in. And while I know some of this is going to end up being hidden, because he's the main character, I like to be able to illustrate fully exactly his character and be able to then move it later if I need to. Like, just kind of shift it around the page if need be. Let's see. He's pretty much there, though. Like, in terms of like having a rough sketch, I probably need a little bit more detail on his side shoulder pad, like on these little pads, but for the most part, I'm gonna leave him pretty simple. I'm not gonna do too much design work. Luckily, I do my brush work a little bit, my ink work a little bit different than I used to. I used to use the pen tool mostly exclusively, just because I never felt like I never thought my inking was up to par, but also just I didn't think Photoshop had a way to make it the way I wanted to. But eventually I found a program called Lazy Nezumi, and it kind of not overdoes, but really makes the smoothness go up, like the resistance for like when I'm doing brushwork, to make it feel more like when I'm doing actual ink work, because I do a lot of traditional inks as well. So anything that can make it feel more like that, the better. But the problem is, just traditional inking is great, but my scanner's just, it's garbage. And also, it just never gives me the fidelity that I want. So I feel like I have to ink digitally. Unless I'm selling a piece traditionally. But, you know, that's obviously just that's a different thing entirely. Alright. What's next? I guess the next part. Well, I can either do the background stuff, which is probably what I should do, or I could do some of the Garlean soldiers. I think I should do, you know what? I'll do a little bit more sketching on the front Garlean, but then I think it's ready to just start going into the inking phase, because I like where Azale's at. I like his pose. It's not perfect, but that's okay. I like the power behind it. I like that it feels like he's just kind of gone crazy. I think the axe might need a little bit of perspective stuff, but in general, I'm pretty happy with it. Thanks, Pat. Because I don't want to shove the axe too much in perspective, but I do want to make it feel like it's going back in space, because I just feel like if he was, you know, moving that axe, I would want it to, yeah, look a little bit more like this. And I'm also just want to over exaggerate some shapes too, like, oh man, I want this to feel like a meaty axe, like he is just cleaving the world with this thing. All right, where's his head? There you are. There you are, you headless Makote. Alright. And I know it's got some pattern work, but I honestly can't make heads or tails of it. Tails. But, so I'm just gonna kind of simplify it. Kind of make my own pattern. That should be good. That's good enough in terms of detail. There. Okay, so we need to move all these references into just one folder. My folders tend to be very messy for at least a large portion of when it's being illustrated. Eventually all this gets kind of, what I'll end up usually doing is I'll make a version 2 of a commission, which is probably what I'll do right now. And typically the reason why I'll do multiple versions is if a Photoshop file becomes corrupted, or if there's a power outage and then that file doesn't recover correctly. It just kind of gives me a nice step back phase in case, like, okay, I didn't lose all my work. And typically if I'm working on a big illustration like this, I will save it to multiple drives, because if the computer blows up, I'll be able to be like, cool, it's dead on this drive, but not on this one, so I'm going to pull this one, because I've had SSDs break on me. I've had multiple hard drives fail over the years. It's very rare. It's only happened like twice out of like the 20 years I've been using computers, but 2 times is enough. Alright. let's see. So close that out. This is where I can figure out some spacing too. Ooh, there you are. I'm gonna look at my rule of thirds. Give me my grid. Give me, where is it? Not 1 by 1. Usually there's a rule of thirds grid. The golden ratio. Can you show it to me? Yeah, that's what I want to see. Okay. I can, I'm gonna have a lot of stuff going on in that area. I do like where this is going. I love that there is kind of like a forward angle going on. I think I just want to might make him a little bit bigger. Or maybe smaller. Bigger, smaller, bigger, small, big, big. Yeah, because I want all the action to be pointing to like almost a diagonal-ish area. It's also another thing. If I work bigger, I can always readjust that. And because I don't work vectors typically in this stuff, I'll work at like 400 DPI. But 11 by 17 is typically my kind of go-to in terms of like what I'm going to aim for. In terms of size to do. I guess I should figure out a little bit more of this background. I'd want snow here. Want some rocks. A little bit of ice. A little bit of snow. Squiggly squiggly. Wiggly wiggly. A little bit of forefront right here too. Anything in the foreground to kind of add some extra detail. Alright, let's go ahead and find... let's find some of our Garleans. Let's find some of our nerds. Alright, nerd number 1 from 1.0. Nerd number 2, courtesy of Valentara. And... nerd number 6 from somewhere on the internet. I don't know. Not that. No. Yes. 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 Look at that burly boy. Is he handsome? Don't need that. Close that. Let's pull you over. You're fine over there. And let's go and pull that burly boy. Welcome back, Valentar. I don't know if that's dumb. I do that all the time. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone said something in the thing. Hey, for the Twitchling rank, should I put my nickname on the server or my actual Discord name? You're gonna wanna @Chris on the Discord about it, Darkstar, because I don't understand how that all works yet. I really don't. So yeah, I would ask him about it. He's on his computer right now, just doing renders and stuff. He should be able to get to you. He might be watching this right now. I don't know. Maybe not. You can probably just hear me from the other room. Alright. Garlean. Who's got my Garlean? Beep. Where? There's the detail. I'm not gonna draw all that. That's way too much. But I do love the Garlean armor. Kudos to people that can keep track of all that stuff. I don't know how to do it. It's too much. Too much. But I can do some other stuff, which is just, hey, let's go ahead and yeah. Just kind of make it up. Like, it's kind of crazy because I don't have, even if you have all the angles, I still, maybe it's just my mind, getting everything perfectly perspective is just still, it's such a difficulty. There's so much to it. There's so much left to learn. It's one reason why I think art has always kind of kept me compelled for so long, is there's always something new that I want to do. There's always some new challenge. I'm definitely going to make a short film this year. I have it all planned out. I planned it out back in September. And something I'm still passionate about, which is cool because it's been months that I haven't been able to work on it. But the short film has been something I really am gonna aim to do, and it'll get uploaded on the channel. It doesn't have anything to do with like video games or anything like that. It's literally just a short film, probably around like 2-3 minutes. But I'm really excited to do that. I think that's gonna be a huge challenge. I'm working on a project with my brother that at some point I'll show you guys if we think it's good enough. Yeah, I got some cool stuff in the pipeline for this year that, you know, eventually will get shown with the channel. Trying to get into gouache studies, figure out how to get better at painting, all that good stuff. Yeah, there's no confirmation. I've got the plot out and I like the plot. It still needs some more storyboards. It still obviously needs to be animated. Characters need to be fully designed and, you know, rigged into Flash. But I know what I want to do. I know how I want to do it. And I know that I can do it now, especially after doing doing all the stuff for Halloween. I really know how to approach it now. So a lot of, like, the cool thing about the channel has been it's really shown me not faults and weaknesses, but just learning new techniques and allowing me to do small scale animations and figure out how to kind of approach them. Because in terms of animation, like, yeah, I took 1 or 2 traditional animation classes in college, but when it comes to like doing digital animation, it's either just from a YouTube tutorial or it's just been, you know, all right, I know how to illustrate stuff, or if I don't, I mean, I can make it look half decent, right? It's just been kind of going from there. So this will be covered and move that. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. I wanted to get it done by the end of this year, and I knew I could have, but the Halloween stuff and then the Christmas stuff and then Twitch and then Inktober, so much other stuff kind of got in the way that I was just like, I can't do it. I'm not gonna have time to finish it, so it kind of got put a little bit on the back burner, which is fine. It will probably not be something. It won't be something that's streamed, but art streams will definitely become a trend. That's something I will try and do, because there is, on top of doing the short film, I want to try and get more illustrations done this year than I have in previous years. Probably a lot of portfolio work. A lot of stuff like that. Like, probably the next couple art streams will be me coloring some of my Inktober stuff, because you guys will be able to keep me on task and be able to force me to be like, yeah, you still need to do stuff. You need to be on here. Get that artwork done. So this is a nice kind of way of like making sure I carve out time. Not that I'm lazy. I'm definitely not, but I can always get distracted by other things. And I feel like if you don't carve time out for anything in life, whether that's relationships or, you know, working out, if you don't make sure you block out time for stuff, you're always going to find some reason to not do something. You're always going to find some like excuse of like, well, I just don't have time. It's like, I mean, we're all busy. We all have things we got to do, and we all have lots of commitments. But if it's important enough, you just need to make sure you block out the time and then just figure out that's what you want to do with it. Yeah. Like, I'm always drawing pretty much, but doing full illustrations now because I am so good at illustrating. Yeah, procrastination is hard not to do. I'm with you. Blue lip. If Sam doesn't carve out time, he'll spend the time for big fishing. Well, luckily I only have like 4 more big fish to catch, Valentar, so hopefully it won't be that much. But I do like 14 because it's almost I'm a big believer in you can't overwork yourself. As much as I feel like, oh, if I just put in more time, I know that's not really how my brain works. I need breaks. I need time to do other things like working out or bouldering or watching a movie, and I feel like it improves my art. I feel like taking and stepping back from the pencil, from like the constant work, because I can grind. When I get in an illustration groove, I can go for like 4.5 hours, no problem, in a row before like taking a minor break and then getting back into it, especially if I'm feeling it. And I would do that a lot when I was relatively younger. But as I've gotten older, I realized like I need to draw for like an hour and a half, and then I'll usually take a break and I'll play 14 for a little bit, and I'll do some more. And I feel like my art is usually better for it. Not always. And there are times when I still really like doing my kind of grind sessions, like right now, where it's just like, oh, I'm just having a blast. Like, drawing is just so much fun. It's such a hard challenge. And every time I do it, I'm like, can I still do this? Am I still decent at drawing? Every single time I pick up a pencil. It's not really self-doubt. It's just like, oh yeah, if I just do it, it'll be good. It won't be exactly what I want. It'll be different than what I thought it was going to be, but it'll always be good at this point. The most daunting thing, and I think I talked about this last time, is literally it's just time. It's just having the time to do stuff. And yeah, Pat, I'm with you. Sometimes we can get so caught up in our lives and everything that's going on that we forget how important breaks and just giving our mind time to rest. I remember talking to my brother and my mom years ago about this very kind of subject, and they kind of looked at me quizzically when I said, yeah, you know, sometimes when I just take a break for, you know, a week and just don't draw, or like, I mean, I never take that long, but like a couple days off, or I'm just playing video games. Like typically in college, when I was in art school, I would draw constantly while I was in school, and I really wouldn't play video games. I was pretty much just didn't even touch them because I was just so busy, and I was constantly coming home and illustrating and doing all this stuff. But then when I would get on break, I'd be off for like a month and a half. And during that entire month and a half, I don't think I really drew. I don't think I drew at all during that time. I would literally just go on a craze of like platinuming Assassin's Creed games, playing the newest GTA. I would literally play through like 7 games in the course of like a month and a half. Like that's all I did. But then I would come back to art school and I just feel refreshed and feel like I was still a better artist than I was before, which is weird and doesn't sound right, but it's kind of like with almost like recording and stuff too. Like if I don't have at least a couple days off in between recording, I start to get antsy and feel like, oh man, I should be doing something else. Even though I love recording, I'm a weird creature like that. I need breaks, which can sometimes be frustrating for Chris, but because he has to record twice as much as I do. But that's just how my brain works. Yeah, I feel you, Darkstar. Like, taking those breaks, I feel like it allows the mind to breathe. It's kind of like the same thing like when you're playing a puzzle game. Or like you find a puzzle in a video game and you're like, why can't I beat this stupid thing? Why is this so hard? And you'll be like, you know what? Fine, forget it. I've been trying this for 2 hours. I'm gonna go to bed. And then you wake up the next morning, you get back on the game, and you finish it in one try. And you're like, God damn it. What the hell? Why? And I think it just kind of is like it's a smaller version, a smaller test pool of just being like, yeah, sometimes your mind just needs to rest. Yeah. Even if you love it. Absolutely right, Jack. It's kind of like, I've learned that also with like bouldering too. As much as fun as bouldering is, at a certain point I have to be like, nope, it's time to stop. Because if I don't stop, I'm going to be so sore that I can't pick up a pencil tomorrow. And then that'll be a real problem. It's something I try and stress to my students. Like, no matter how hard you try in life, sometimes things are going to go your way. And sometimes, unfortunately, they're just not. You can practice at something all you want. And then sometimes you won't get a break. But you got to look to your life in different ways and see where you're lucky. And be appreciative for that stuff. Because there's always going to be someone that has more. There's going to be someone that's more talented. There are 15-year-olds that can draw better than me. But they can't draw like me. And they haven't had the experiences that I've had. And, you know, it's easy to sometimes get depressed or get down in the dumps about that stuff. But, you know, I think the more you focus on the good stuff in your life, the easier it is to get over those short periods of, like, things that just bring you down. Let's see. All right, they've got some kind of, I can't really see this. Valentar got me a good picture. It looks like they kind of got some swirly boy designs going on. So I'm gonna kind of change this up and bring that over. But yeah, 14 has a special place in my heart. Along with Final Fantasy XI. I've made so many good friends from it. And It's my go-to game of just like peace and solitude, where like I can kind of just be me, kind of just explore the world. There's always something I haven't done, and sometimes I feel like, oh man, you should be drawing, but then I realize, yeah, I need these breaks though. If I literally don't, I will lose my mind, and I just gotta. Man, this is looking good. This is looking nice. You usually don't say that, but this is looking pretty solid. Bring some more of that. Okay, let's go ahead and get his wrist blades. And just kind of change that up a little bit, but still kind of get that form. I do envy 3D. I do envy 3D modelers, though. I wish I could do 3D modeling. I think that's something. Not this next year, but the year next year, because it's 2020 now already, which is maybe right in 2019 probably for the next like month, like everybody else. But I would like to get back into sculpting. It probably won't happen this year. Maybe after I finish the short film, and finish all my portfolio stuff that I want to do, I'll get into that. Like, I have a laundry list of things that I really want to illustrate, and I'll probably do a bunch of them on stream. Now I think about it. There's a Pumpkin Kid children's book illustration stuff I want to do that I've got all the sketches for. I just got to do that, and I want to color all my Inktober pieces and really make a compilation of my hijinks concept pitch. And kind of see where that goes. Let's see. He's got a little bit of stuff. Yeah, I'm down. You guys have definitely shown the support here, so I would. If you guys enjoy being here, I enjoy doing it. And like I said, it gives me a reason to get on and force myself to illustrate. Because otherwise, I'd be playing 14 right now, and like Valentara said, I'd be doing big fishing instead of illustrating. When I'm on break, I kind of go into video game mode. I played through my friend Pedro 2, which my brother graciously bought me for Christmas. That game's a lot of fun. I know Chris and Mike played it. That game was way more fun and way more stylistic than I thought it was going to be. Devolver, I shouldn't be surprised though. Devolver has pretty much nailed it every time I've played one of their games. Like, I've yet to have a bad Devolver experience yet. I'm gonna make sure I save this and take a sip. I wish it would get cold again though. Some of the bugs are starting to appear again, and for a while they weren't around. And I think that's because it was getting super cold. So like all the spiders were disappearing, but it's been kind of getting a little bit warmer here in Cali. I'm like, no, bring back on the cold, bring it down. I don't even know what the weather's been the last few days, but I still want it to get a little bit colder again. I like my winter weather. It makes it a little bit more of a bit of a pain when it comes to running. Running in the summer is a lot more preferable. Not when it's 100 degrees, like you can't run there. But in general, I do prefer running in like kind of the spring stuff, even though I have allergies, which is not fun. Not fun at all. Okay, Gunblade. Sometimes when I'm doing illustrations too, like especially if it's a sword, and it's not gonna really matter what the perspective is, I'll just do it up and down because it's just easier that way. And I don't know how his Gunblade looks. Honestly, there's just so much detail, and even if you get like really right up and close and do like a perfect picture, I feel like of this 14 gear, because some of the textures still get a little bit lower resed, it's still a little hard to make out exactly what they want. And then you look at the concept art, and the concept art's just like, well, it's concept art, so it's still really detailed, but the modeler takes that and goes like, all right, well, I'm going to do something a little bit differently than that. And then I have my style on top of that, which is like, all right, I'm going to simplify it. And I'm going to exaggerate that. I feel like my style is kind of a mixture of Bruce Timm from Batman the Animated Series, Gendy Tartakovsky from Samurai Jack, and then a little bit of Akira Toriyama. Get that little bit of that anime and like Final Fantasy influence. A little bit of Nomura too. There's definitely a little bit of Nomura in my work. Can't forget that guy. It's funny too, because I can really... One thing I'm really good at, I don't like to brag. I hate bragging. But one thing I feel like I'm good at is drawing in multiple styles. I can't draw super realistically, but if it's cartoon style, I pretty much, as long as I'm given time to kind of acclimate to it, I can pretty much do any cartoony style. That's not too much of a problem. Yeah, simplifying the model that's different from the concept. That's another possibility, Blue. The problem is the concept art, even though I have the art book. I have like 2 or 3 of the Final Fantasy XIV art books. I think I have the no. Do I only have one? I think I only have one. I got one at like CTN, which is which is a convention in Southern California that I went with my friend Brian, who is also an artist too, and that was a lot of fun. I think I was 26, so 31 now. 5 years ago? No, wait, it was longer than that. Because I graduated when I was 23. Huh. I think I was like 24 or 25. I was 25, I think. Because I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for a little bit, because otherwise why would I have bought that book? And I started in 2013. I'm going to say I went in 2015 for CTN. I think that sounds right. Cool expo. Would not go again. I felt like I got everything I needed out of it in terms of like recommendations from other people. Maybe now might be a little bit better. I have better work, so maybe it'd be easier for me to get a job, but I don't know. Okay. That Garlean Gunblade. So for those of you guys that are in here, I'm currently sketching something similar to this. I do love Gunblades. One of the best things about Final Fantasy VIII. It's a cool little thing. Alright. I think that's good enough in terms of... I'll throw like a little swirl in there. And this is also just like... This is the base sketch. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a story with a gun duct tape to it. I mean, yes, that is pretty much what it is. But damn if it's not badass, Blue. It shouldn't work, but it does. Glockfire is best weapon. Glockfire. What's Glockfire from? Is that like a Enter the Gungeon thing? I gotta say, Enter the Gungeon has the coolest little enemy dudes. The little bullets. God. Enter the Gungeon probably has the best loading screens of any game I've seen. I love those little animations with the little bullet gun that plops into the holster of the holes. Oh, so good. It's so good. I love little animations like that. Oh, man. Bulkin is adorable. Oh, Glock knife, though. Glock knife must be a real weapon. Sounds like a real weapon. Ah. Yeah, I'm not good with real weapons. I tend to stay away from that. Oh. Okay, I get you, man. No worries, no worries. I'm the last person to judge someone's English. Despite being a teacher, my English is, it's not atrocious, but it's not the greatest either. Like, I have lots of trouble with mine. I want to get you in a different perspective. I want to show a little bit more of this. I mean, it's funny. I just bought like I said, I bought Final Fantasy XII for the Switch. So part of me wants to play through that again, though I know I will not. I mostly just bought it because I was like, yeah, now I have it again. Because the only other way I could play 12 was either on my PC, like on an old ROM or something like that. Because I have the, well, no, that's not entirely true. I could I have the game disc for Final Fantasy XII still on my shelf, but The only other way to do it is just putting it in my computer and running it that way with like Dolphin or something like that. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So having it on Switch is definitely nice. If you have not played Final Fantasy XII, it is really, really good. I really like it. It's easily one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. Easily. It's funny, my brothers would ask me every now and then, like, what's your favorite Final Fantasy? It's probably 14, right? I'm like, yeah, no, it probably is, but I don't like delineating. It's like when someone asks me if Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross is better. Like, I can't pick. I love them both, and they're part of the same franchise, and their stories intertwine. Like, Chrono Cross is great because of what Chrono Trigger does. Chrono Cross is great because it pushes so far away from the format of Chrono Trigger and does so many things different, but so many things well at the same time. And the soundtrack, oh god, that soundtrack, I love it. It's so good, so good. All right, that weapon's good. Azael is sitting in nice and tight. Okay, let me think what I want to do next. Azael is there. He's good. That Garlean soldier is there. They're good. I guess they're the first ones I should really start inking, because all the other ones don't really matter too much, and I can kind of make them up because they're going to be further in the background. Alright. Group that. Group that. Group this. And one more. This is the harder part about my new inking style too, because it's something I'm still getting used to. I've done it for a couple illustrations, but I haven't done it for a ton yet. So it doesn't look like it's on. Let's see. Restore and move. I don't know why this thing gets stuck so often in the weird hand corners. Okay, it's on. Just need to have a little bit more resistance. Now for the tricky parts. Sorry if I get a little silent when it comes to like this stuff. Inking tends to be a bit of a more taxing process. But I've gotten better at it. Years of just being in the classroom and giving demos kind of forces your brain to really be able to work and talk at the same time. Some people can't do it, but I've gotten used to it. Alright, bring that. Okay. I think I want the inner lining to be a little bit thinner. There'll just be a lot of erasing and a lot of going back and forth. And part of it too is just learning to accept things that aren't perfectly perfect, if that makes sense. Oh, that's a bit of a bummer. Valentara, sorry that your raid got canceled. Ink that. But this is basically the same process I use now for doing the couchling stuff. I need to pull up some reference images though. I want to have this up. Just just know how precise I want to get. Occasionally I'll use the pen tool to kind of get some of this stuff down, because, you know, it's important for some of this stuff, like especially when it's like when it's organic and stuff, I'll do it by hand. But if it's like more of this machinery type stuff, I'll do some of it with a mixture of the two. And it also just depends on like what I'm trying to figure out. Like this, because it's so precise, and like because it would be something made by a machine, I do want to kind of get those basic shapes down with the inking and just use this tool to its most efficient use. Trying a different, like I said, trying a different inking style. Still trying to figure out, because this style allows me to do more finesse when inking, better shape control, better contrast, stuff like that. A more natural approach to it. Yeah. Whereas like using the pen tool can sometimes lead to a more static image, and I made it work for as long as I did, but I definitely want to get better at this with my thick and thins, and it just opens up the possibilities as an illustrator to do even more stuff that I normally don't do. Always striving for that next level, you know? Oh, I don't want that, because I need to add that little hoopla right here. Of darkness right in there. And for this part, there we go. Yeah, that's close enough. And then just some of this stuff, if I don't like how it looks, that's the cool thing about being an artist. Just gonna go ahead and change it. I'm like, nah, I want these shoulder blades to kind of concave more. I want them to really dig in and bend that back a little bit. Bend it like Becca, or whatever that crazy soccer movie from forever ago was called. Something with Amanda something from all that. I don't remember. Let's make a thinner line going there. A little thin line going there. And ideally with this more nuanced ink work, it'll allow me to do more detail. Until I discovered this tool, I didn't think it was ever going to be possible to do that. And then I realized, I learned from it, it's like, oh yeah, tons of professional illustrators and people in the art industry use this thing. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Of course they do. They want something that's going to steady, because when you're working on Wacom tablets and stuff like that, or just any tablet, there's a level of, I don't want to say disconnect, but there's a level of fidelity you just can't sometimes replicate, because the glass is so smooth, or the plastic is so smooth, that it's hard to get that tactile feeling of paper. So it is nice when awesome programmers make cool ass programs like this that just kind of slow down and make it extra smooth, because it allows me to do something like doing that bandages and stuff with my old style. Way too difficult to do. Though I do have to remember when I'm doing some of this stuff, like let me use this for now, but I think I'm gonna have to go over and really thick and thin some of these line weights up, which is fine. I was going to have to do that anyways. Just remembering to kind of go over and add that thickness to it. It's nice when you have a casual raid group Valentara, for sure. It just makes things life way more fun, honestly. Having kind of just a casual approach to that kind of stuff. I don't have time for hardcore raid groups anymore. I can't justify the time. Nor would I really want to. They're a lot of fun, but now that I have the channel and other projects, that keeps out the majority of my intention. But part of me does miss raiding though, because raiding is still a whole lot of fun. It's a huge blast. Alright, ink that. And I think like the biggest thing when it comes to doing illustration too is just you have to have a level of confidence, and it took me a long time to build that up, but I'm definitely at that point now that I know it's like, alright, I know if I keep on trucking and I keep on working at this illustration, eventually once I'm all done, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's successful about it. There'll still be stuff that I'll look at and be like, alright, that could have been better. But it's all going to kind of aim towards reaching that next plateau. And I'll learn a little bit each time I do this stuff. Get a little bit better along the way. A little bit better at reading armor. A little bit better at illustrating armor. Keep working towards that journey of being better. Be a better journeyman. Let's see. Grab that and ring around do-si-do. Ah, there we go. Nice. Nope. And part of it too is I just know a lot of what makes my art unique is definitely the way I approach color. So I always got to remember that like line work is super important. But once I add the shadows and once I get in there with my color, the color is really what's going to make it feel unique. It's really the thing that's going to elevate it from being standard to like something higher quality. Go ahead and ink that. Bring this over. Nope. Part of me wants to make sure that when I'm doing the line weight, I'm keeping it all kind of on this back side, because that's where I want the impact to really be felt. So I'm trying to make the line work light in the front and really have like the edge of those impacts really almost be felt within the line work itself on the back side. So that's why I'm trying to make like different indents on this side a little bit darker. Oh, good night, Darkstar. Have a good night, buddy. Oh, and go ahead and ink this. And change it up a little bit from the source, but that's okay. He's a Garlean with not homogenized. What am I thinking of? Hodgepodge. Hodgepodge armor. Hodgepodge armor crafted by the great Sam. Let's get those fingers. Those meaty hands. Alright. That hand is there. Let's go ahead and do that. And as per usual, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Like, I know inking is, like, I did say inking's a little bit of a laborious process, but if you guys have things you want to ask me while I'm working on stuff, like, it can be anything. I'm more than happy to answer them. Because I can still do two things at once. Especially this. Especially now that I'm kind of got a flow to it. I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do. There we go. Okay. That picture you got me for Valentara of the Garlean has been awesome. That is working out perfectly. I'm using that as my main source of reference for this bad boy. So, muchas gracias for helping me out with that. It's funny, they have like a mixture of like almost organic, but not quite organic. Like it follows the muscle work, but at the same time it doesn't. You know, like it kind of follows their muscles, but it's also kind of plate mail. Like the Garleans feel like almost like Dark Soulian and like classic fantasy, but still that very much Final Fantasy Akio Yoshida style of fantasy. I think that's one reason why I never got into D&D too much before. I just always liked the Japanese take on fantasy armor. It always felt more elevated than what you'd usually find in most Western designs, and that's not the case anymore. I just felt like there was more imagination when the Japanese took on, or just, you know, different countries to their take on Europe. They would have like they would have a heightened style for everything. Whereas I felt like for a lot of that, most of the old D&D art was kind of like, it was very much rooted in, yes, it was fantasy, but it was believable fantasy, I guess. I think Lord of the Rings did a good job of elevating that too. They had a bit of that kind of like cool, the Peter Jackson trilogy. I think those did a good job of like taking that design theory and elevating it. And I feel like, even though I'm sure a lot of it was based on like the illustrations done like in magazines and stuff, I still feel like there was definitely someone on the art team that was like, man, that Japanese like European fantasy stuff they do with all the cool elves and all that, like maybe we should look at some of that stuff for our inspiration. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm super far off base. Who knows? That's just kind of the impression I get. Yeah, or 14 does have a lot of organic metal work. Like Ultima looks like a sculpture of some creature. I really do love the theory and design behind 14 and 11. And even though I don't like Final Fantasy 13, I do like the art for that game. That's what's the bummer about the game, is I think the art is really cool in 13. I think there's a lot to love about that game. It's just the pacing of the story was not handled very well. Like, Hope doesn't even bother me that much. Just the... I know everyone says the linearity, but just the linearity of the game, it always kind of felt like they were forcing you on this path, and, like, that's fine, but there's just certain aspects of it that were just a bit of a slog. 13's still, like, a solid 7 out of 10. It's still a good RPG. It's still better than most RPGs. It's just not... It's like if you're trying to rate with against all other Final Fantasies, it's still the bottom of the list for me. But if you were to ask me, like, well, where does it rank in all-time RPGs? Like, it's still way better. It's still way better than most RPGs out there. Because there's a lot of bad RPGs. A lot of bad JRPGs. 15 feels kind of weak, but I like the gameplay of 15, Valentara. It felt a little rushed. I do like it though, but I'm not gonna say it's probably still bottom of the list in terms of Final Fantasies. Like it's probably near there. In terms of my Final Fantasy list of like things that I really like, but I enjoyed the relationship with Noctis and his crew. I thought that was really solid. I thought a bunch of the stuff that they did. I thought the idea of doing Final Fantasy in the real world was interesting. And I just felt like some of the concepts, they just didn't have enough time to execute on them fully, which Tetsuya Nomura needs to not be in charge of story. He can be a main scenario guy. He can give the scenario beats because I think he's okay for that. But when it comes to writing story, I feel like they just need to give it to somebody else. Because he gets too caught up in his own head of what makes sense. And then I feel like it just falls off at the finish line. Almost every single time. Kingdom Hearts 3 is it's a big fucking mess. I'm still really burned by Kingdom Hearts 3. I thought the story was going to be finished. I mean, I knew they were going to do more games, but I thought that story was going to be done, and then they were going to transition to like, let's go to a smaller story. Let's stop having all these crazy plot threads. It's like, let's wrap this up in a bow so that this existed, but it's done now. We can stop talking about the Xehanort trilogy. We can stop talking about the Xehanort saga and all the old masters and stuff. Like, it's gone. It's dead. You know, like, we can leave that in, like, it can still be a part of the lore. No one's trying to ignore it. But it's put to rest, and we can have a simpler story and kind of get back to the bread and butter of what made Kingdom Hearts 1 good and even what made Kingdom Hearts 2 good. Kingdom Hearts really didn't start getting crazy. Like, it was nuts into for a lot of reasons, but I felt like the story was still in hand even by Birth by Sleep. But then they made all the spin-off games and all the side quest games and all the side story stuff, and then as it kept on getting further and further, it kept getting more and more complex, and instead of just folding Roxas and Ventus into one character, which would make, you know, logical sense, and keeping characters like, spoiler alert for anyone that cares about Kingdom Hearts, next like 20 like I'm gonna go on a Kingdom Hearts rant. Is anyone in the chat like opposed to me ranting about Kingdom Hearts? If you are, I can stop. But yeah, I want to know if anyone in here is like vehemently opposed to me going on a stupid rant about that. But I'm going to go ahead and read some of Valentara's stuff. So you played 13, got to the open world portion, then got the urge to get back to 14. Yeah, I can feel that. So yeah. Alright, I'm going to go with Jack's already giving me the okay. 15, the game felt forced out the door. It did for sure. I think the full complete product of 15 is a lot better now. I feel like some story stuff was left on the table. I like what they set up. I thought the combat was interesting. It wasn't the hardest, but most Final Fantasies aren't that hard. But yeah, it felt like there was a lot of stuff that doesn't really get resolved. Like the female Dragoon doesn't really get used to the best of her character. The relationships between your squad, I think, is really strong. I think those side story episodes are really good. But they should have been part of the main game, because like they really flesh out your other party members. But that's because of Nomura, because the dude just doesn't know when to stop. He always thinks he needs to add another plot thread, when really he needs to stop with like 2. But yeah, then they added like extra like clones and other versions of Sora's and Riku's, and it was kind of cool in Chain of Memories when you had the Dark Riku, and it was kind of okay for him to reappear in Kingdom Hearts 3 because he died. He was gone. He dies in Kingdom Hearts 3, and you're like, cool, he was already dead. Let him stay dead. That's awesome. Characters need to die to feel weight of a story. If every character comes back to life, well, then, you know what? Tori's, like, it just doesn't really matter. Like, you don't feel that urge, like, oh, shit, is this character in danger? Is this character gonna make it through? There's none of that tension. Which is sometimes why prequels aren't really that interesting to a lot of people, because that tension goes away. You know that a character is going to make it out. And other side characters that you care about can present that problem, and that's how you can kind of get around the, you know, problem of a prequel. But if you know all the main characters in a prequel and you've seen the movies that take place in the future, you're like, well, I know Han Solo lives because he's in the other movies, and this isn't a parallel universe. And I know Lando makes it, and I know all these other characters make it because they have to. So that can kind of present a problem. But then they make like clones of Kyrie, and then like there's this Data version that didn't have a soul, but then she gets brought back to life, and they bring her back. And it's like, no, her death meant something. It was Shion's supposed to be gone. She's not supposed to come back. And then they have Roxas and Ventus, and they have them as two separate people, even though they look identical. And yeah, I know that they're the idea behind, I guess, is they're two different souls, but oh my god, it would have made so much more sense to consolidate that character and been like, yeah, well, when Sora became a Heartless and he created his nobody, that was really just Ventus's soul who had been inside Sora's body splitting off and like separating for a temporary thing. And then like when all gets said and done and he finally gets brought back to be whole again, he has the memories of Ventus and Roxas. And you're like, bam, cool, one whole character. Let Terra like die. Let maybe Aqua sacrifice herself. Like, start consolidating the characters. Make this fucking all this stuff be worth it. And I know the point of the third one is to save Aqua, Terra, and Ventus, but how fucking epic would it have been if Terra had been the one to finally stop Xehanort, and finally have been the one to really sacrifice what was left of his life? And like, it would have been bittersweet, yeah, but man, there would have been way more impact and way more feels with it. It's just better storytelling. Just, man, they went for the safest ending possible with that, and that was fine. But then when they were like, hey, that one little plot thread, just kidding, there's another heel turn because we got to keep you invested. I'm like, no, this was supposed to be the end. If they had not done that heel turn, I think with like, they did a heel turn with Ixbard. I was just like, oh, cool. This is just another one. That means this is never going to end. That means this story is literally never going to end. I've played all the Kingdom Hearts games. Played that shitty mobile game for way too many years. Way too long. Oh, God. I was both happy and sad that game ended. I still think that game is a solid 7 out of 10. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 does a lot of ambitious things. I think all the mini games and like different variety of things are fun. It's very much a throwback to old PS2 games. I think it's a good game, but its story is incoherent, and the way that they go about doing cutscenes and describing, have the actors do weird pauses and stuff, like it's just, oh man, that game could be so much better. That series, I feel like, could be so much better, but I guess they want to be Kingdom Hearts then. I don't know. I see so much potential for that franchise, but maybe I've just gotten older. I don't know. Maybe I've just outgrown that. Scarlet's looking good though. I'm liking this new ink style. It's working. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like, because I usually do much thicker ink styles. But yeah, it's coming along pretty okay. Let's see. Is there any other games that have like driven you guys nuts? You know, just like where there's been an ending that has just kind of made you feel done with the series? Something where you go, man, I've been invested in this for so long, but I think I'm out. Like, not like in a malicious way, like, screw this thing, screw this franchise. Actually, even then, if it's there, like, is there just a game that you guys have played through that you've been really invested in, and then you get to the ending, you get to the heel turn, and you're just like, cool, I'm out, I'm dipping, I'm done with this franchise, you can't bring me back. Sorry, Mass Effect, you're done. That would require you to finish the game, Blue Lip? Damn. Do you mostly just play games to a certain point and then just kind of stop for a little bit? I'm gonna stand up and stretch for a second. Not stopping, just doing all those push-ups and sit-ups and other things. Leg is definitely a little sore. Ooh, knobby need. Oof. All right. Back at it. Let's see. I think I'll probably finish inking this guy, and then we'll probably call it good. But that's still going to be like another half an hour of inking. Probably 45 minutes. Don't know. Maybe I'll feel like going further. Just depends on how my lazy leg feels. You play games and mostly lose interest with them for a bit, with a few exceptions. What are some of the exceptions? What are some of the games that you finished then? Get that inked. Ooh. All right, and then ink that. And because this is going to be hidden by a rock, I'm just going to do one line that kind of finishes this off on the side. Let's see. She likes to restart games with a lip. I know that feel. Jack, I haven't played any games that would make me put the effort for the rest of the time, but Aaron Marty's endings have frequently confused me. That's the kind of point, though. It's not a bad thing. Gotcha. So Blue Lip, Isaac, Gungeon, Terraria, none of which I finished. And a couple random ones. Well, those are exceptions to the rule, Blue, because those are roguelikes, you know? Most of those games, what do you consider finishing? Like Dead Cells, for instance. I consider Dead Cells, if you get the first ending, you technically finished that game. Now, if you want to say, have you completed it? Like Rogue Legacy, I finished that game. I didn't complete it. I'm sure there's other things I could have done it, things I could have gotten it. But roguelikes in general, like, it's hard to be like, oh yeah, I finished it. It's like, well, there's always something you haven't done. That's why I like the term completion versus finish. Like, oh yeah, I beat that game. Darkest Dungeon still want to finish. Darkest Dungeon is good. Yeah, Rogue Legacy is fun. I like Rogue Legacy. At some point, I think I'd like to play it on the channel. Have Chris play it. But there's always newer games coming out that kind of gain more traction, gain more views, type of deal. But that is a classic Rogue game. It's probably up there with Flint Hook in terms of my favorite roguelikes. Flint Hook is probably one of my favorite games I've ever played, honestly. I wish that game had got more love. Such a great art direction in that game. Dom2D does a fantastic job with the art team. So good. Flint Hook, I feel, is like one of those hidden gems that kind of came out. People talked about it for a little bit, but then Cuphead came out like right after, and then Hollow Knight came out right after, and then boom! Kind of eclipsed it a little bit. I think we played Hollow Knight not too long after we played that game. Might have been longer, though. Flint Hook was one of the first games we played on the channel. And it's been a long time since then. It would have been, I think we played that game in probably like sometime in 2017. Probably like July, February, I think, 2017. Oh, Hollow Knight, yeah. I feel like that's one that you definitely have to beat. I only beat, what part of Hollow Knight did I beat? I got all the way up to Radiance. And I got the bad ending, and I was kind of satisfied with that. We put in so much time on the channel. I just wanted to see what it felt like after watching Chris play it so much. So I got close to being the Radiance a couple times, but I just got fed up with having to beat the Hollow Knight every single time before I could fight the Radiance. And since I'd already seen what that ending was, I wasn't super compelled to finish it. So I was just like, you know what? I did my due diligence. I did the thing. I played the game, and I beat the baddie. That was good enough for me. I might play through all of Silksong, but I don't know, because part of it is we're gonna be doing it on the channel. So because we're gonna do it on the channel, I'm not gonna want to get ahead. So if I'm not gonna want to get ahead, by the time we beat Silksong, I'll be like, I'm good. Like even Pokemon, I've started my file on that, but I haven't really gotten to that because even though I now I have the chance of getting ahead, I've seen so much of what that game is. Part of it is like I mostly just bought it because I knew Chris really wanted to play it. And he was really excited for a new Pokemon game. And I was going to skip this one just because I've played X and Y, so I was going to wait a generation or two. But I'm happy he's enjoying it so much. We got to record that, I think, tomorrow? Yeah, we got to record some more of that tomorrow. So that should be fun. And add more solid on the inks. And then do that. Ooh. No. Alright. Is there anything on this back portion? Okay, yeah, it can be a bit tedious. Oh, there's Banner. I like Banner Saga. I've actually played... I know I beat the first one. I'm pretty... No. I never did get around to playing the second one. We have discussed playing it on the channel. It is something that might get played. We are mostly trying to figure out, like... We've planned out a bunch of what we're going to do for this next year, for the beginning of the year. Like, you guys voted on... Couchlings voted on Jack and Daxter, so we're going to record that. Chris is going to start his Breath of the Wild playthrough at some point soon. Once he starts feeling better. Yeah. Like, we've got a lot planned out. I would like to do Banner Saga. I feel like Banner Saga is something we'd want to do here on Twitch. Instead of a Let's Play format, but I'm not too sure. Banner Saga is such a long game, and it's got decision making too. I think it'd be fun to have you guys make decisions with us. I think that could be a fun experience. Yeah, that's part of it. I think those games, we're trying to see where RPGs fit in terms of like, in terms of our flow, because they don't do too well in Let's Play formats. I mean, every now and then we'll do one, like if Nier Automata wins next time for Couchling's Choice, it'll definitely be a Let's Play format, and I'm excited for that because I do like that game. I would like to play that. But yeah, certain RPGs, like I'll probably buy Final Fantasy XIV when it comes out. Nice. Thanks, Valentar. I mean, it's up to you guys, though. I mean, I'm happy to play whatever you guys make, but seeing that support for it, you can definitely tell there was a lot of you who are definitely up for a Nier playthrough, and I am definitely up for it, too. That'd be a lot of fun. Get that inked. There'll still be more detail on the armor stuff, but that's looking... It's looking pretty good. It's pretty solid. There'll be stuff in the foreground that hides a little bit of that. Now for his weapon, I'll do this on a separate layer. I will go ahead and grab this and grab that. And most of this weapon will just be done, honestly, with the pen tool, because it's just way too hard to... I can get those straight lines if I'm doing it by hand, but on the computer it's just easier I have the pen tool here. It just makes way more sense to get those sharp points by using the pen tool and creating paths and then just filling them in, getting that kind of sharpness. And eventually I'll go over some of these things as well. I feel like I still need to mess with this brush to really get the best out of it, because the thick and thin is still... I like the softness it gives, but there's still some things about it that I wish it was still a little bit more like an ink brush. Not with like the texture, but just in terms of like the thick and thin. I can mess a little bit with that. in the settings, but it doesn't quite get exactly where I want it to be. It's close though. It's real close. What's my favorite boss in 14? There's so many. I like most of them. I'm trying to think of like what's my favorite boss. Bahamut's really good. I think it might be the Phoenix fight. Phoenix fight is definitely one of the top tier artistically, mostly because of the background. I think having Bahamut in the background while you're fighting Phoenix is so interesting, and there's so much color dynamics going on with the reds and the blues, and then the phase changes. That's really cool. The new Alexander Ultimate is really, really cool. I think that's fun. There's a lot of really great fights in 14. What else? Shinryu is really cool. I really like the Shinryu fight. What's one that really does some crazy graphical stuff? Siryu is pretty cool. The phase transition is really nice with there. Yeah. The extreme fight is very difficult. I don't think that's the one extreme fight I don't think I've beat, is the extreme Shinryu one. I'm sure I'll get on 14 later tonight and remember something that, you know, I didn't remember before. That's a good question, though. There's just so much great about that game. I don't think there's ever been anything super where I was just like, I'm not into that. They're like kind of like how you sometimes hear me on the Pokemon game occasionally with certain designs. There's honestly not much about 14 that I don't really like. There's a couple of decisions, like them putting a cool ass tiger mount behind killing 1,000 hunts. Not a big fan of that. But other than that, like, for the most part, I'm pretty much down with pretty much everything 14's selling. They're pretty solid on most stuff. Brute Justice gives me trauma. Brute Justice, as much as that fight gives me hives, that gives me anxiety, because I was leading a raid group at the time, back before they did adjustments to that. Oh god. Brute Justice. What a pain in the ass. It's fine now. It's fine now. But when it was first out there, it was just, it was so frustrating. That raid tier broke me. I did like the cannonball fight though. The bowling ball fight? Yeah. The bowling ball fight was cool. I did that while it was still considered difficult content. I mean, the main reason that I stopped raiding in 14 is because I became a teacher. And I knew that I needed to commit. I knew that it wasn't in love. I still liked playing the game, but I didn't love raiding anymore. And my brother was also feeling the same way. He was part of my group. And I knew that teaching was going to be such a hard job. I needed to fully dedicate my time to my students. So before I even started, I was like, I have to quit. And if I felt bad, but it's one of the better decisions I've made in life. I still continue to play the game, still continually hang out with those guys, but it's what allowed me to make the commitment to doing this channel, and to doing all the other cool things I've been doing over the last, man, it's been a few years since I quit raiding. Trying to think, it's probably been about like 3 years now, probably more. About 3 or 4 years, however long I've been teaching. Almost like 5 years maybe, which feels crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. Because I raided for like the first 3.5 years of that game. I just thought about a gunblade. What if it had a gun that shot knives instead of bullets? That'd be badass. I'm sure there's some game that does that, Blue Lip. one thing I'll kind of do sometimes when I'm doing art, it's just, you know, that's the fun thing about artistic licenses. Like, I'll get the base shape of stuff, but sometimes I'll just be like, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to try and make it perfect to what that design was. I'm going to just go ahead and kind of make it my own. Even if it doesn't, you know, sometimes make a whole lot of sense. Just to kind of, one, make it easier on my mind, less stressful. Something I did a lot in college, which a bunch of my professors were like really astounded by. They're like, what do you mean you're just not trying to copy stuff? I'm like, well, one, I don't have the patience. And two, I don't know, it just seems more fun. I'd always make like the models into characters and stuff like that, and really just push the storytelling the more I could. That's always something that I'm thinking about. Like, what's the story? How does this... What is the story that this telling? It can be simple, it can be crazy, it can be over the top, but bottom line, what is the story? What purpose is this functioning? And why am I illustrating it the way I'm illustrating? Just drawing a random person sitting there, just artistically, it does nothing to me. I really respect people that can render highly realistic. For them, people that can see the story within that, like the person's life and their history. But for me, it's just drawing a portrait. Drawing portraits are just, they're not that interesting. Yeah, Gungeon probably does have one. Oh, thank you for following, Wizman. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you with us. We're just chilling here while I'm drawing this cool-ass gunblade. I think I need to do a smaller thing. A smaller brush size for that. That should be good. Now it just needs that little kind of bevel. In it. I don't like that. I'm just gonna do it with the pen tool. That's gonna make it way easier. Yeah, it's true. Kind of like a musket. Ooh, that's way too thick of a line. That'll work. And sometimes I'll take the lasso tool and just carve out a little. One thing I try and remind myself is, like, I get really obsessed with, like, how good the line art. I done goofed. Can I unseparate that? Please, Control Z, save me! Oh, did I fuse that? No, wait. Ah! Cool, I didn't. Okay, I almost screwed myself there. So this is all there. I need to take this. And I need to grab that. Because that was creating a tangent, and that's not cool. Tangent is basically, for those of you guys that don't know, tangents are something artists tend to try and avoid. But this was creating a tangent right here, like with the finger. And you kind of want to avoid that in general. It just doesn't look right. So either I need to have it like kind of further up, like he's losing his grip, which that might look good. Because I want it to look like he had been holding it. I think that'll look fine right there. And now I need to kind of go in and just start erasing part of the line stuff that I don't need. Because I want him to be so shocked by the impact of what just happened that he's no longer gripping his weapon. He's been hit so hard by this this whirl attack. I just want his fingers, like his fingers are open, and he's just bracing for the impact. I guess I'll have to figure out the lighting at some point too. Well, I mean, I know I'm going to, but I can show you guys a little bit more of the process too as we're kind of winding down on this art stream. I'm gonna go ahead and do some like little scratches on his blade. Maybe a little chink in it. Not chink, clink, clank. Yeah, a little chunk taken off of his armor and stuff like that. Add some history to it. Just slowly kind of get some of that in there. It's not gonna be dented, but you know, it's a weapon. It's gonna have a little bit of wear and tear to it. Just enough. I don't want to do too much because you can overdo that for sure. So I just want just a little bit. A little bit more on here and a little bit on there. It's really okay. So now that I have this, I can see a bird's face in the sword cell. Yeah, it kind of does look like a little bit like a bird's face. I can dig that. I can dig it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of select everything and I'm going to bring it another one in. And typically I'll start making these into groups. Oop, I forgot to reverse that. Going to reverse it. And this is going to be called my flats layer. And eventually this will get shadows and stuff like that. But this is more like just, hey, here's Guardian Soldier number 1. And I spelled soldier wrong. I'm going to call him Sold. He's Sold 1. Soldier always throws me off. It's like Soildier or something like that. It always throws me off. I don't know why. But he'll still need more detail work. He'll still need more detail on his armor and stuff like that. He's going to be the most detailed of all the Garleans. But like next thing I'll do, I tend to like to work with everything kind of in groups. Yeah, I want that about that thickness. I'll go ahead and mess with some of my brush settings. Yeah, that is not getting as thin as I want. I want you to get a little bit. Yeah, I still want you to be round. Don't want to do its size. Let's try and do that. It's a bit better, yeah. Start getting that kind of rock face, and I'm gonna turn him off. But this is a trick I do every now and then to kind of just rake up what's going on in the scene. That's all this really serves right here. Sounds like an earth golem. Kind of does. And this is just here to just kind of give me some foreground elements. Something I was trying to do with my illustration work is really... I'm always thinking of like camera placement and what's going on with there. Not always successfully. I still really need to improve on my camera work. But it's something I think about. something I'm constantly thinking about, like, how can I get better at it? And perspective is so hard, so it makes it difficult. But in general, it's always something that's on the back of my mind, like making sure that like the stuff that's furthest in the foreground is the thickest stuff. So like some of this stuff I'll eventually have to go in and be like, all right, cool. Is this thick enough? Do I need to make the line thicker? Always thinking. Drawing is always a thinking process. Something that I learned while I was in school. Like, even when you think you're not thinking, you're always really real, like, I'll say real artists. Artists who dedicate their lives to drawing, who really want to like improve at the craft. Anyone that improves the craft, no matter what you're doing, you're really concentrating on pretty much every aspect of the illustration. Every line should have a purpose. Every idea should have a focus. And if you don't, you gotta question, well, why am I putting this in the scene? For me, this is to put, you know, snowy textures and more stuff in the background. He got hit with stuff, so maybe there's like, maybe he got hit so hard there's some rocks that have like kind of flown off. Or maybe like chunks of his armor. I don't know. That's too thick of a line. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit thinner, and then I'll just go ahead and I'll take this. Oh, I need to fix this first. Just so I can make sure that it feels like it's part of the foreground. I want to make sure that these lines are extra thick. Once color is added, it won't be as apparent. It won't look as standoutish as it does right now. But in the meantime, that is definitely what I want to do with it. Yeah, that'll work. Then I'll go ahead and I will do that again, and this will become my foreground. And I will go ahead and just add, I'll use blue or something. Oh, no, I don't want to color that in. I want to keep that separate. Done that before. That's always a mistake. And then eventually the illustration will just look like this. So it's going to be like, the next phase is literally just doing what I'm doing here. Going over, finessing, going to the next one, next one, next one, next one, next one. You know, start nailing those down. The Garland Tech in the back, do him. I think I gotta move one over because it's not in the scene. 1, 2, there's 3. Oh, there's the 4th guy. Chilling out over there. Add effects, do backgrounds, but eventually everything will be staged in multicolor, kind of like this. Then add shadows, then all that other kind of stuff as more detailed. Typically I'll do like a final, once I have everything inked, I'll figure out what my lighting is going to be, and I'll typically just do that with like, I'll use like any colored brush I want, sometimes blue, sometimes purple, and then just like, I'm gonna turn down that stuff and literally just do like a fat layer of like, alright, you know, shadows, light source is gonna be up here, and then I'll start like figuring it all out, which that's probably where my light source is gonna be, right on that main character. And there obviously can be other multiple light sources, but that's kind of the basic idea. But yeah, I think I need to stretch my legs. I don't know. There'll probably be another like surprise stream for this at some point in the future. I'm definitely feeling it. I'm feeling the groove. I could keep going, but I think I should stop. So I'm gonna call it for tonight. Thank you everybody for joining in. This has been awesome. we will catch you guys later. I hope everyone has a good night. Peace out, everybody. Now I gotta figure out which button to press. I still haven't got the credits to work. I apologize.